views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello and welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world to you. I'm Dorissa White filling in for Darren Jaime, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough. Coming up, we'll discuss an upcoming lecture debunking older adults and sex with Riverdale Senior Services. Afterwards, we'll learn more about a Tribe Co-Create, a space for Black and Brown small business owners, creatives, and doers in the Bronx. Next, the founders of Carfi shares more about her organization empowering social entrepreneurs in Africa and the diaspora using resources and guidance. After that, a mother and daughter duo and founders of Lose the Abuser share more about their initiative, enlightening others on dealing with narcissism. So stay tuned, all this and much more is headed your way because we're officially now open. Hello everyone, I'm Dorissa White and today is Wednesday, August 21st, and you are now watching Open, a live program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers on Manhattan Neighborhood Network as Open is being broadcasted simultaneously on MNN's channels. You can stay connected to us via Twitter at BronxNet TV and on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. A lot has been going on through this past week. We'll take you through it with Bronx Updates. The Hope and Healing Town Hall took place at the Bronx Museum of Art to hold an important conversation about bringing healing approaches to our public schools. BronxNet has the story.
In light of the recent mass shootings in Ohio and El Paso that left dozens dead and hundreds injured collectively, a town hall centered around how Bronx schools can address childhood trauma was organized by New York State Assembly member LaToya Joyner and Bronx Legal Services.
Those terrible tragedies that happened recently in El Paso and in Dayton, Ohio, underscore how specific events can really have an impact on people. So it's not just children, but even adults. And some people are really triggered by these incidents. And that's really what we're talking about here, that sometimes these incidents can be so significant that people start having difficulties because of it.
The town hall served as a seminar to make parents, educators, and students aware of the effects of childhood trauma, such as community violence, which can cause PTSD in young adults. Assemblymember LaToya Joyner and State Senator Jamal T. Bailey believe in holding forums like this so the conversation about mental health opens up.
Trauma comes in many forms, as we will hear from many of the advocates and even youth advocates today of how they've experienced trauma. And I believe that, like they said, one encounter with one person, a new experience could help change that around.
Making sure that you get people the help that they need sooner rather than later. Early intervention happens. When we talk about preventive medicine, we don't think about it when it comes to mental health.
And the conversation doesn't end here. State Senator Jamal T. Bailey and Assemblywoman LaToya Joyner says that they're working with teachers to make all teachers certified in dealing with trauma. In Grand Concourse, reporting for BronxNet, Dorissa White. Empire Blue Cross and Blue Shield in Montefiore sponsored a back-to-school health and literacy fair at Poe Park, providing school supplies and health resources. Reporter Danielle Farrell Bannister has the story.
Bronxites gathered at Poe Park for the 9th annual Back-to-School Health and Literacy Fair event hosted by Montefiore and Empire Blue Cross Blue Shield. Food, school supplies, and prizes were a few highlights of the event.
But we wanted to make sure that our families are getting information that they need, bringing them together with community providers and community organizations, but at the same time to offer our kids book bags and school supplies, because we know many of the families, that weighs on their mind.
Well, events like this is vitally important for the community. It's all about resources and awareness.
The purpose of the event is to aid families from a lack of materials as well as provide health tips to prepare for the new school year.
I think this is a valuable asset. This is an empowering way to address the needs in the community. So many kids don't have what they need, and I think to be able to give it in a way that makes everybody feel empowered and kind of celebratory is an excellent thing. And so I think that's dope. I think it's fantastic, and I think just to see a response from the community not only validates the need, but shows how the community is responding and kind of give thanks and celebrates it.
Very. Every little bit helps a lot.
Bronx Borough President also says these events are done every year to excite children and let them know the community is behind them so they can be the best students they can be. Reporting for BronxNet, Danielle Farrell-Bannister.
Betances Houses celebrated Family Day in Mott Haven with Wavecrest Management following the phase out of NYCHA in the neighborhood. Reporter Sanji Lopez has the story.
Betances Houses celebrated Family Day in Mott Haven. This year, Wavecrest Management invited the community out, replacing NYCHA as a new landlord for 40 buildings stretching from 136th Street to 145th Street.
We wanted to do a special thing for the residents so they can come together and they can experience what family is here at Betances with Wavecrest on board.
Along with partners MDG Design and Construction and Catholic Charities, under the Rental Assistance Demonstration or RAD program, Wavecrest has received a $120 million loan to make much-needed repairs at Betances Houses.
We've been here doing renovations to residents' apartments, bathroom, kitchens, flooring, new appliances, anything that a tenant was neglected before, we've been working on it little by little.
As you may know, NYCHA has been an absent landlord, and it is not only a matter of fixing the bathrooms and the floors in the apartments. We also need to make sure that the families have the resources that they need to thrive.
The Betances community enjoyed summer fun, engaged with local politicians, and got an opportunity to speak with new management company about changes coming to their homes. While Wavecrest is a private developer, Mayor Bill de Blasio assured residents that displacement is not on their agenda. Miguel Hernandez, a longtime resident of Betances Houses, feels comfortable with the change along with other tenants.
It's different because, all my life I live here. I raise around my kids, they are men already. And no mean different to me. It's the same.
We got new windows, we got new floors, bathrooms, we got new kitchens. And it's a big change, and it's a big change, and I love it.
Betances Houses also has the support of some community organizations who offer services within the area.
We work with Betances residents on assisting them with employment services, educational and vocational training services, as well as connecting them to entitlements and other resources within the community.
Everyone here is the expert of their community. They're the ones that live it day to day, and who are we to come in and tell them how to solve the problem? They should be telling us how they want to solve the problem. So we're coming in, we're creating community leaders, creating thought leaders around this, and that's our biggest goal.
Reporting for BronxNet, Sanji Lopez.
That's all for Bronx Updates. We have to take a quick break. More Open right after this.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made this vacation happen.
Double points with every purchase?
Cleverly merging promotions.
Love it.
Cross-referencing travel sites. And booking all your flights with those...
Vouchers. I got us bumped.
They were like, oh. But now they're like... Aloha. You aced this vacation. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Behold, the
angry giant. Behold the angry giant. Behold the angry giant. Behold the angry giant.
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Open up your books to page 360.
Did you just look at your phone while you was in class? You played yourself.
Talking about inspirational quotes.
You gotta believe in yourself. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Louise, can you give me an example of an inspirational quote?
Don't play yourself. The key is to make it.
And who said that?
I did. Now that's a major key alert.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at getschool.com.
Welcome back. Riverdale Senior Services hosts a series of lectures for seniors in their space. Their next event will present an award-winning author and advocate for ageless sexuality. Joan Price leading a discussion on sex and aging. RSS also has Savvy Solos Club for seniors who don't have close friends or relatives nearby. Joining us now to share more are Julie Dalton and Celina Inge from Riverdale Senior Services. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you for having us. Nice to be here.
Absolutely. So tell us a little about your organization. And I understand that you offer multiple services.
We do. We call ourselves the Center for Ageless Living, and we serve people in the Northwest Bronx. So we do a lot of services to support people: meals, lectures, health management services. We have a wonderful team of social workers. We do mental health counseling. We have a horticultural therapist on staff. So one of the things we do is we want to make sure people live their best and happiest lives, and that we connect them to services. But the other part of just not focusing on what people might need and the challenges of getting older, we want to also bring them things that will empower them and engage them. So we have a wonderful whole series of different kinds of lectures and programs to talk about the fun stuff about getting older and just helping people to connect with each other. Because we feel that whatever age you are, you have something that you can contribute to the community and to someone else, and that you can always live your best life. So that's what we're there for.
Right. And I guess a lot of people, you know, they're scared about getting older. They feel like, you know, especially women, you know, we're always trying to preserve our youth, or, you know, this, but it's a beautiful thing, and you're kind of showing that this aging is beautiful.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
And then so you're in charge of Savvy Solos.
Right.
Now, I was under the impression that it was a dating scene for seniors.
But it could be, actually. In fact, we may want to incorporate that into the group next time.
Ooh, I will definitely cover that story. Now, talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so Savvy Solos is actually solar agers, as most people know. Solar agers are actually individuals who live alone in the house, and they don't have really any family or friends really nearby, or they're estranged, the children are estranged. So this is a group that we decided that needed to come together and socialize, and that's why we call it Savvy Solo Club. And we want to give them tools and resources of what they could prepare themselves for the future. So it's a really great group, and we talk about a lot of different topics, and we ask them, what kind of topics are you interested in? For example, somebody said, I want a self-defense class because I'm afraid to go outside and, you know, God forbid somebody attacks me. So what they do, so we decided to get an instructor and teach them how to do self-defense classes. We also really, really press that they should definitely prepare themselves for the future. Like they should have a power of attorney. They should have a healthcare proxy all intact, because then they'll be prepared for the future.
So what is some of their anxieties, I guess, about, living alone or not having relatives or family nearby?
One of the biggest issues is that they feel like, for example, if they fall and they are in the hospital, they have nobody to contact. God forbid if they had a cat or a dog or a pet in their home, they don't know who's going to go and take care of them. So that is one of the fears. So that's why I'm always pushing for them to really socialize, get out there, meet your neighbors, meet anybody, and sort of become friends with them, and then hopefully there'll be more support.
Now, to my understanding, one of the services that you offer is exploring sexuality in seniors, and that's also very taboo, because we don't really think about seniors having sex.
Yeah, so that's one of the myths. So again, we're delighted that Joan Price will be joining us on September 5th. She's going to be doing 2 presentations. The first one is the 7 myths of sex after 60. That maybe older people don't have sex. The other myths, people will have to come and join the presentation to find out. So that's going to be a wonderful presentation on September 5th at 1 o'clock. And then later in the day, we're going to be doing a program that's sponsored by our Women's Wellness Project. And Joan Price will be talking about what are the questions that women ask for sex after 60. That'll be at 5 p.m. on September 5th, and we'll be serving dinner. So again, I think when people speak about those taboo subjects and when people come together and connect, they'll find that they have a connection. Just like in the Savvy Solos, we've had people say, I'm lonely at dinner time, and oh, you live in my neighborhood. I would love to go to Lincoln Center. So again, I think we have an obligation to touch on those issues that people are thinking about, and they may think I'm the only one that feels that way. But so we're delighted that Joan Price is going to be with us. There'll be an opportunity to look at her next book, Sex After Grief. We'll have a book signing. So we're hoping that people will join us. They can visit our website at RSSNY to register. And then later in September, we have some other wonderful seminars coming up. We're going to be working with AARP on 2 seminars. One's called Engaging Locally, and the other one is Job Search in the Digital Age. Because we know that many people, they might retire at 60 or 65 or 70, but they want to stay working, and it's a different frame. So RSS, the Center for Ageless Living, we like to say we have something for everyone.
One of the questions that I always ask the guests when they come on here is, why do they do what they do, and why did you feel the need to get involved in this field?
In this field? Well, I think for me, I was 18 years old. I always wanted to be a social worker, and my grandmother was my idol, so I always said, how can I help? And I was thinking, oh, she's elderly, and there's not as many people who are interested in working with the elderly, and I've been working with them since then, and it has been so rewarding. And I love everything I do, and of course I love RSS.
Yes. Well, many years ago, I had a mentor who was a wonderful woman, and she was quite elderly, and I really had realized that, because I had those prejudices also, that, after someone's 40, after 50, but she was an elderly woman and so dynamic, and she was my mentor. So, and then I also have a very strong commitment to have our communities be supportive of everyone, wherever people come from, whatever their background, age. So I really want to make our communities livable for people that are older and for everyone. So this was like a natural fit for me. So, and I love what I do, and yes, I love RSS. And we encourage your viewers to visit us. We're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Find us online and just come by and see what we have to offer.
Absolutely.
And our Savvy Solo Club, it is the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of the month at 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock.
All right. Well, thank you both so much for joining us. I appreciate it. Is there anything else that you would like to kind of tell our viewers about your program, or have we wrapped it up?
I think they can visit us online, rssny.org. Give us a call at 718-884-5900. And even sometimes people think, well, I'm not old. I'm only 70. Again, you're more than welcome at RSS. We're the Center for Ageless Living, and we welcome everyone.
All right. Thank you, ladies, so much.
Thank you.
All right. The Riverdale Senior Services Sex and Aging events will be taking place on Thursday, September 5th at 1 p.m. at 5 p.m. at 2600 Netherland Avenue in the Bronx. For more information, visit rssny.org and call 718-884-5900. And again, that's 718-884-5900 to register. We have to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Open right after this.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Thank you for staying with us. Tribe Co-Create is a cooperative business for Black and Brown small business owners, creatives, and doers in the Bronx. They'll be holding an event titled Young, Black, and Burnt Out. Here to tell us more about a Tribe Co-Create are co-founders Bianca Shaw, Angelica De La Cruz, and Noah Watford. Welcome. I'm so sorry for messing your name up.
No worries.
So tell us a little bit about this, and that's such a savvy name for the event.
Thank you. Oh, for the event? Yes.
Yeah, we could start with the event first.
So we're hosting an event tomorrow, actually, at the Banknote Building, 1231 Lafayette Avenue, and it's called Young, Black, and Burnt Out. And so it's an event for Black, Indigenous people of color to talk about some of the harm that we experience in the workplace that's specific to us. Talking about like some of the policies and practices that a lot of these workspaces have that are supposed to be investing in us, but they don't. And also to really talk about what does it look like to have a workspace that centers our healing, that pays us well, that centers our growth, and how we can really imagine that together.
Yeah. What type of anxieties do we face, Black and brown people face in the workforce that kind of stay with us in our daily lives?
Many.
I think one of the anxieties is that we don't have a clear understanding of like our roles, and that could really get into the way of like our confidence and our daily, just our daily tasks.
Yeah. I would also say that for many of us, we're put into positions without really folks like investing in our growth. And so, sometimes we're put into like director positions or managerial positions, and without like effective supervision, without like, having supervisors who are really invested in our personal and professional development, we often are put in positions, and then when we don't do right, we're kind of kicked out, right? And so like we think that it's really oppressive to put people of color in positions where we're not adequately trained to do that, and then like fire us, right? Because a lot of stress comes with that, a lot of like imposter syndrome comes with that, where we already feel like we're not good enough, and we're already working in spaces that were not created by us. Most of the time, the people on top don't look like us, and so when we're not invested in, like that's really harmful to us.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's rewind here. How did Tribe Co-Create even begin?
We were burnt out.
We were burnt out, and we were also just dealing with, we're all millennials, and so we were dealing with like our millennial like quarter life crisis, right? Like really just trying to figure out what our purpose in life was. We all have like so many talents and abilities, and we were just thinking about like how can we really put that out into the world. But then also really realizing that, if you're from the Bronx, the likelihood that you have a mentor or that you have the financial ability to go back to school, or you just even have the time to like focus on yourself and like develop your capacity is not real when we're all just trying to survive out here. And so we were like, well, we really need a community of people to support us in that. But where does that exist? Like co-working spaces exist here, but not with the intention of like really building community for Black and brown people. And so Tribe was created as a way to build community, to support people in developing their businesses or developing their art or like, centering their healing, and really like to connect folks to resources. And as I mentioned before, like really centering our healing, because we know that like success is important, right? Like we all want to have money, we all want to get free, but what does that look like if we're not healed? If we're not putting that healing back out into our community.
So me and Bianca actually work together at this nonprofit. We kind of, the first day we met each other, we're like, oh, another Black person in here. Hi. And we like, hey. And we kind of just gravitated to each other. And her and I and a couple of other friends that worked at the, nonprofit, we kind of created our own little tribe and kind of created like weekly circles and like, what does it really look like to, heal within each other. That's how Tribe actually began.
So within your company, you kind of created something like a tribe before Tribe even began.
Absolutely.
Right? That's beautiful.
Yeah, we're like, if we could create this for ourselves here, how wonderful would that be for us to bring that into the community?
And then how does the meetings look when you walk into the meeting or a Tribe meeting? How does that look? Not meaning physical, but I mean, what is the conversations like? What do you all speak about? What does that healing look like?
Yeah. The first thing that we do before we even start our meetings, we check in with each other. We check in with how our days, been going. We're goofballs.
Our accessibility needs.
Yes, our accessibility needs. Tribe is corny, everyone. But we have a lot of fun before during our meetings. We make sure to incorporate fun in that as well.
Yeah. I would also say though that we're also thinking about how to hold each other accountable with love, right? And so like it's really great to have a place where you feel welcomed. It's really great to have a place where people are checking in on you, like really intentionally being like, how are you doing? How can I support you? But then also to say like, what is it that you want to get done, right? Like if I love you, I want to make sure that you're actually working towards your goals, and I want to make sure that I'm doing that in a way that supports you and doesn't shame you in that. And so we're always thinking about like, how can we really support each other's growth? Like that's what we think love is. It's like I want to support you in like your healing. I want to support you in your growth. I want to make sure that you become your best self.
And then to you, Noah, how do you develop these relationships, do you think, with the community?
I think we're very intentional when it comes to the community. So we actually go out and instead of like just popping up with Tribe, we actually, with the Green Worker Cooperatives, which is the school we actually went through and graduated from, we had to do a lot of interviews with the community. So asking the community, like, what do they want to see at Tribe? How do they want Tribe to be? Like, what are some of the resources that they need in order for a tribe to be like, in order for them to feel like their business could be successful and thriving and sustainable.
Yeah. And not only that, but actually showing up for the community, whoever, whenever they have any events going on, we come and we support, we ask how can we support them. So actually just not saying like, oh yeah, I'm here for community, but actually showing up and being there for them.
Being accountable to our words.
And then what are some upcoming events or spaces that you're going to have?
Oh yes, we actually host monthly pop-up co-working days, and basically that's just even actually bi-weekly. We're actually doing it now every Saturdays, every other Saturdays and Wednesdays, and that's just basically for people to come in, get some work done, gather. You know, like Bianca said, there's no spaces in the Bronx for that, and there's 2 co-working spaces that really no one really know about in the Bronx. So, you know, it's important for us to create this space for people to come and just heal and get their work done and share resources with one another. We're going to start hosting also collective wisdom every month, where it's just like if you have a business that you have up and coming, just to, you know, share some resources, get some feedback on if, like, you know, if this is what you really need or what community really needs. And tomorrow, our Young, Black, and Burnt Out.
I will be there.
Yeah.
I will be there. And now I know that you all are fundraising. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we do not currently have our own physical space. Thanks to Green Worker Cooperatives, we've been able to connect to an existing co-working space in the Bronx. But we want our own space, right? We want to have our own space where folks can come and gather and build community. And so we are currently going to be launching a crowdfunding campaign. And we're going to be asking community to support us in raising money so that we can secure a location. We want to be in the Bronx forever. And so, you know, we don't really want to lease. We want to be able to buy land, which is really important for, especially with everything going on in the Bronx right now, that we secure a building that is for, by, and with community. And so, yeah, look out for that. We're going to, you know, be launching that very soon, and we're asking community to support us in that so that we don't have to look for outside folks to support us.
We're trying to raise at least $100,000.
Wow.
At minimum.
And part of our fundraising too is our wonderful merch that you see all of us.
Yes, I was just going to ask.
Yes. We currently don't have an online platform to buy this, but please hit us up in our DMs. So follow us on our Instagram.
Yes, follow us at tribe_co-create. And so all of our shirts really have special meaning to us. I'm wearing the Reclaiming the Future of the Bronx shirt, which is really just about like, what does it look like if we invest in like Black and brown folks, right? What does it look like if we invest in the people who have always been here to really take over, right? Like we really feel like business and supporting Black and brown businesses is like a social justice issue. And we know so many amazing people who want to give back to their community in like really intentional ways. And Angelica's wearing a Hustle and Heal shirt because we believe that like hustling is just not about chasing money, right? It's really about like doing things again to be very intentional and also centering your healing.
And to be free.
Yes, and to be free and to work towards liberation.
And I'm wearing the Collective Wisdom, Collective Care shirt, which essentially means collective wisdom. So sharing your insights, sharing your resources, sharing your creativity with the world, right? Don't leave it for just self. And collective care is like healing with one another. Whatever that looks like to you, whatever healing looks like to you.
And I wanted to ask you, the Reclaiming the Future of the Bronx, why is it so important for you to have your space in the Bronx? I know you were saying, but that is a big conversation right now. And, you know, I meet so many people that want to go to like trendier areas like Williamsburg or the city or something like that. Why is that important to you?
Yeah, I think it's really important for us because we're all Bronx residents. Noah and I were born and raised here. Angelica came here from the Dominican Republic. And we've seen so much how our community has changed, which to some folks might look great, but we know that that change is happening without our people, right? And we know that gentrification makes the Bronx seem like very trendy and we're showing up as like the new hotspots, but like people who have always been in community, who has always been doing this work are getting left out of that. And so when we say reclaim the future of the Bronx, we know that people already have their hands deep in the Bronx and have all these ideas, but again, community is being left out of those conversations. And so our work is to invest in community, to invest in the people who have always been here, who have amazing talents and ability, but don't always have the access to resources, whether that's social capital or financial capital. And so we know that if we invest in these folks, that like the Bronx will be flourishing, and we don't need to like change the name of our neighborhood to do that, and we don't need another coffee shop to do that. Like folks have everything that they need here, they just need to be invested in.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining
you.
us. This
Thank you
event
for having
sounds
us.
amazing. Yes. Young, Black, and Burnt Out will be taking place on Thursday, August 22nd from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at 1231 Lafayette Avenue, 2nd floor in the Bronx. Visit tribecocreate.com and follow them at tribe_co-create on Instagram for more information. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund reading.
No.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Well, Thomas, you've got prediabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody.
So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
150 over 90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure looks like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from invisible or silent. If you've come off your treatment plan, get back on it or talk with your doctor to create an exercise, diet, and medication plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
If I would have followed a treatment plan, I would not be in this situation.
Thank you for staying with us. Carfee is a consulting firm introducing entrepreneurs to pools of resources and providing guidance to members of the African diaspora. Through their GenVolution Conference and Iron Series podcast, they seek to connect and exchange knowledge. Joining us now to tell us more is Carfee founder Shon Shunkumbi. Did I say it correctly? Shokumbi. I'm sorry about that. Now, talk a little bit about your organization. I know we were talking during the break, but it seems very interesting, and you're all about uplifting people in the African diaspora.
Yes. So I always start with the mission statement. Carfee's mission is to obtain and sustain resources for aspiring African leaders. And it's very intentional that I wrote the mission statement that way because through my research, I have a master's degree in international management focused on North Africa region. And through my research, I saw a lot of movements or interactions with the international community and Africa that I wasn't too proud of. And so now my goal is to make sure that there are more Africans actually taking charge of their own leadership, that's taking charge of their own development, rather than always having to lean on others in order to advance themselves.
Okay. And now some of the events that you all hold, talk a little bit about that.
Well, this is going to be our inaugural event, actually, the
Okay.
GenVolution Conference, and it was sparked out of that, again, initial desire to see more Africans in charge of our socioeconomic advancement. as we're coming up with millennials and Gen Zers who are now going to be the new ones that take control once the old guard passes on.
Right.
I want to make sure that we go into whatever work that we're doing in the future for that continent with intentionality and making sure that we're doing it together as a team as well. Millennials and Gen Zers are characterized as people who want to go into work with a true mission and a cause behind it. They don't just want to make money. They want to make sure that they have a life's purpose that they're pursuing as well in their work. So it's an opportunity for them to come together and have a conversation about how can we do whatever we want to do, whether it's start our own businesses, whether we still want to go into traditional routes, whether we want to be doctors, lawyers, or engineers, which is what African parents usually direct us to, or if you want to be even in the music industry or in media and entertainment. How do we do that with the intentionality of uplifting the African people?
And the name Karfi, that's so beautiful, and it sounds so interesting. What does that mean?
So it's a Hausa word from Nigeria. I'm actually of Nigerian descent, yes, and it means iron. And my tagline for the organization is to sharpen iron. So making sure that each one of us are educating each other, bringing resources to the table to uplift one another, and also empower each other to do whatever amazing work we want to do.
And tell us a little bit about the Iron Series podcast. I know you mentioned it a little bit before, but go into that.
Okay, so that was the original vision behind doing the educational part of Karfi. So the GenVolution Conference is now an opportunity for us to come in person and have these conversations. But the Iron Series podcast was an opportunity for me to have conversations with people in my network who are already doing the work that I'm hoping to inspire other young people to do, who are going back to their home countries and saying, I want to start these different type of businesses. My friend actually described it as how I built this podcast for Africans. So it's literally taking you step by step on how to build a sustainable business that's not only helping you to provide for yourself, but it's also helping others.
Understand. And then why is it so important to share, I guess, the importance of the African diaspora?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of times when I've been using that phrase, people would think immediately, oh, you're talking about people who directly have a tie back to a specific country in Africa. And I'm thinking about it in a very broader sense. You know, because of transatlantic trade, we are all over the place, right? We're Afro-Latinos, we're Afro-Caribbeans. Some of us are in Europe because of moving there for a better lifestyle, some of us in the US. And I feel like, and that also includes the African-American community, and I feel a lot of us are disjointed because of that, and we're just going into our little silos and saying, well, we'll just work with this immediate community that we relate to in order to, do whatever, uplift our communities and things like that. And I want to bring back a sense of Pan-Africanism where we are all having a conversation about what can we do, like what is working well in our little section of where we're living in order to make sure that all of us are benefiting, to pull our resources together and make sure that one group is not feeling that they're left out of that total advancement.
And just like you just said, you don't want someone to feel left out. And I guess that brings me to my next point about collaboration versus competition. What is...
That's becoming my new tagline.
Yeah, I see.
So I said that on another podcast series that I was on, and I was referring to it in the matter of when we do decide that we want to start our own businesses and we do decide we want to do something of benefit that is not for our own glory, that is to make sure that is in an effort for the greater good, basically. It's an effort to bring people together and say, this is what I'm really talented at, so I'll offer my resources here. Or, this is who I have access to in terms of contacts, and I'll provide that to you so that we can all, again, for the better common goal of making sure that we all boats, lift up to the top and not just one person gets glorified. And when you go into this entrepreneurship space, there's a lot of competitions that a lot of money is on the line. And so that's what usually makes people feel like they need to just work on their own. And what I want to do is, get rid of that and not say that, I just want to have the attention because of this competition that I'm going after or this resource that I need that's very scarce. But say that, again, when I do win this, how can I also share that wealth with other people, again, for the greater good.
And what are some of the challenges for small businesses in the African diaspora?
Mainly resources, capital, access to capital, and that's financial and that's also social capital. So that's another reason why I've decided to do the GenVolution Conference, is because I want to introduce young people to the people that would have the networks that they would want to connect to in order to figure out, like, is this the best route for me professionally to go? Is this truly my calling in whatever, issue that I'm passionate about? So social capital is big, and making sure that you have the mentors to guide you through that thought process, but also, again, financial capital. Even if you have the vision, if you don't have the resources to actually put it into action, it's impossible to see it through.
Definitely. And what we were just talking about is when we think about the African diaspora, the Caribbean and the West Indies are kind of left out, and we just kind of focus solely on Africa. Why is it important to you that everyone is included in that?
Well, because, so going back to Nigeria, I see that there's still a lot of poverty and there's still a lot of issues that are happening because of past colonialism and even neocolonialism that's happening now. So people who are still pillaging our resources for their own personal gain, and those are other countries, right? Same exact thing is happening in the West Indies and Jamaica and Haiti. You know, Haiti is is the poorest country in the world, right? So I don't think that I think it behooves us to say, you know, what has worked for us, and making sure that those people who still have connections to us through our heritage also know those best practices of how to empower themselves to, again, fix whatever is going on in their communities.
All right. So just give your information one more time, and where can we find out more about this?
So you should follow GenVolution Conference on Instagram and Facebook, and you can also go to my website, www.carfi.org. All the information is there.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. For tickets to the GenVolution Conference, visit genvolution.splashthat.com. To find out more, visit carfi.org and follow them on Instagram at GenVolution Conference. Stay tuned for more Open after this.
Why don't you ever see elephants hiding in trees? Because they're really good at it. Yeah, I get it.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund Reading.
No.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
150 over 90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure looks like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from invisible or silent. If you've come off your treatment plan, get back on it, or talk with your doctor to create an exercise, diet, and medication plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
If I would have followed a treatment plan, I would not be in this situation.
Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I brought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
For all the papas out there, let's stop what we're doing and take a moment. A moment to be with our kids. They can be loud moments, goofy moments, sporty moments, dorky moments, kooky moments. Moments where we talk or walk or just hang out. It doesn't really matter. They all count because every time dads take a moment to be with their kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's all take a moment to make a moment today.
Welcome back. Lose the Abuser began with a mother and daughter's mission to enlighten others on coping with emotional and mental abuse that stems from dealing with a narcissistic individual. Here to discuss their initiative are creators of Lose the Abuser, Nikel Spencer and Lorraine Holden Cunningham. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you for
Thank you
having
for
us.
having us. Thank you.
So I see that you have the shirts.
Yes.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about this initiative and why is it important to get this message out?
Well, it's very important to get this message out because not everyone knows what a narcissist is, when they're in a relationship with a narcissist, when they're in a situation with a narcissist, and the harm that can come to their life when they have that person in their life. So me and my mom had went through something really drastic in our life to have this happen, and to make this happen, make this come into a real life situation for us to lose the abuser. Me and my mother, we went through something when I was like really younger, and it still hinders me today. And I know it just made this come into fruition, and
to help others.
and to make
like her.
awareness for other people to know.
So you all both cared about this very much to get the word out because it was very traumatic for both of you.
Yes.
Now, so your main, I guess you highlight narcissists.
Yes.
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, a lot of people don't know that they live in with the narcissist, and that could be for any form, and that could be family members, that could be someone, your husband, your friend, your mate. With us, it was my mate and her dad. So with that being said, it's like you have to, my goal is to acknowledge other people and enlighten other people what to recognize, how to acknowledge what you see, or if they're holding you away from your family, or they're keeping you away from family, causing problems against other people in your friendships, or causing problems with family members to keep you away from them. They will also put on this face like they're beautiful people and they look good, they smell good, they talk well. But behind closed doors, they are really controlling what's going on in your life.
So you said that your ex-husband now, he was a narcissist.
Absolutely.
And he told you that he was a narcissist.
Yes, he enlightened me.
Okay, and now when he told you that he was a narcissist, what did you do with that information?
Well, I said, let me look this up. What is a narcissist? And there's different forms of narcissism. So that's when I started studying, doing a lot of programs, and I also work in psych background, so that also influenced me to go look more into it. So once I found that, I was like, they come in different forms. So you have no idea, but you just have to really look for the signs. You do not allow people to control your friendship, your life. You are your own person, especially when it targets the children. And they will flip things around. With my daughter, for instance, she would have supposed to have dates with her dad. The dates would never happen. She would call him out on it, and he would flip it on her. Oh, who are you talking to? I'm your dad. That's the power that they try to use. Oh, I'm your husband. Oh, I'm your father. Oh, I'm your older brother. Those things you have to look for.
It's like a power move.
A power move. And they will use that. They don't, what you saying, they will try to flip it. So you have to stand ground. You have to stand your ground. You have to stay true to who you are, believe what you believe, and don't back down.
So I understand, because I have done a little bit of research on narcissists. So I understand there's overt and then there's covert narcissism. What is overt and what were you dealing with?
Well, what I was dealing with, at first I didn't recognize it. And like I said, they're very charming. So they would charm you and gain your trust.
Put on this facade.
And once they gain your trust, they would have you be defensive against other people that's trying to tell you what the right things to do. So that's what things I had to learn until the physical abuse came into play. That was when I said, oh no, this has to stop. I have to not be involved with that. Even though that was her dad, I still wanted her to have that dad relationship with her father because I didn't have that. But when it comes down to the children, my daughter trying to commit suicide, that's a whole nother issue. And I'm like, oh no, father, I don't care who it is, this must stop. So at that point, I decided to put my daughter in therapy, which she is continuing therapy, and we decided you just have to cut off the cord. I don't care who it is. It could be your mother, your father, your sister, your brother. If it's hurting you and affecting your life, then you have to cut them off completely.
Especially when it comes down to physical too.
So I understand that you all had an event back in December, correct?
Yes.
How was that?
It was wonderful. My sister initially thought of it, and she was doing a book as well, which get connection with Lose the Abuser. So we set up an event back in December. It was very successful. And that was, like I said, exposing and enlightening other people about narcissists. It's a great turnout because you have no idea how many other people are dealing with it and afraid to come out. A lot of people are embarrassed to talk about it. I was embarrassed to talk about it. But I'm saying, it's a whole world of people that's dealing with this and have no idea and don't know. I help a lot of people. I have it on Instagram, and I put a lot of inspirational quotes up, and a lot of people reach out to me. They may not reach out. Some people reach out on Instagram. Some also reach out to me by phone, and I talk to them, and I just keep encouraging them.
So what is the event about? What are they focused on? Like, what do you, so if I were to go to the event, how would it look?
It would look like people that are afraid to speak up, people that's going through things, and I would encourage them, this is what we need to do. We need to get together. You need to acknowledge this, that, and the third. With the signs, I let them know. We also sell merchandise that represent Lose the Abuser.
Hats.
And hats.
Shirts,
and exposing
sweaters.
that narcissists, women are not afraid of narcissists.
You're taking the power back.
Okay, it's taking the power back.
Taking the power back.
Okay, now what would you tell people who are in this situation, or what advice would you give?
Well, my advice for younger teenagers my age, I'm sorry, hit the mic. Younger teenagers my age, you're gonna think it's okay, people choking your neck and all the little playful things, younger, people do in a relationship. Sometimes if someone's doing stuff like that, or talking to you really crazy, making you feel down, talking you down, really making you feel low, that's not healthy. That's not okay. That's showing the signs of a narcissist, someone that's not really here for you like they say they are. If they made it seem like in the beginning it was cool, everything was great, and then behind closed doors it's different, that's not okay. That's not healthy. That's, especially when it comes down to physical, don't let that go down. You have to take your power back and become yourself. Put yourself first. It's always putting yourself first, taking care of yourself, and that's what my advice would be.
And what events do you have coming up?
Well, stay tuned. You could go to our webpage, our Instagram and Facebook, and I am working on some new shirts that my daughter is designing.
Yes.
I am trying to gear to a nonprofit organization of Lose the Abuser. So that is what's up for the future.
All right, well, thank you both for joining
you for
us.
having us.
Thank you for having us.
For more information, follow @LoseTheAbuser on Instagram. We've come to the end of our show today. I'd like to thank all of our guests for joining us, and you, the viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the re-cablecast at 5 and 10 p.m. on Optimum Channel 67, Verizon Fios 33, or watch anytime on the web at bronxnet.org. That wraps it up for here on the set of Open. I'm Dorissa White. Make sure you keep this channel wide open. Take care and stay positive.